Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you guys are. Guys, I want to talk about a topic which is kind of irritating me a little bit. I want to talk a bit about Usyk, Alexander Usyk, who is constantly, again, his trainer has come out and said that they would be willing to move down to cruiserweight to fight Canelo Alvarez if the Fury fight doesn't happen. I mean, I'm a little bit uneasy with that because for me, Usyk is trying to get somebody who's a much smaller guy and basically know that it's a huge payday for himself and it's an easy fight. And Canelo fans, I love Canelo as well, but at the end of the day, it's an easy fight for Usyk. I mean, Usyk would batter Canelo. I mean, and it's just a payday. It's one of those gimmick fights that will be a payday for Alexander Usyk. I don't quite understand why Alexander Usyk, if the Fury fight doesn't happen, fight Deontay Wilder, fight fight Andy Ruiz or fight somebody that's a legitimate heavyweight. Don't look for a payday against Canelo Alvarez for an easy payday because that's what it is. And here's the hypocrisy. Canelo gets called out, right? Canelo gets called out by people for ducking fights and avoiding fights and fighting these guys. And Canelo gets criticized fighting guys like Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, Callum Smith. These are undefeated world champions, but apparently they're bums. And Alexander Usyk, can call out Canelo Alvarez, but because Canelo Alvarez is viewed as superhuman, it's no one has a problem with that. No one will say if Canelo Alvarez and Usyk happens, nobody will say Usyk is cherry picking. Nobody will say any of that. I mean, and this is the hypocrisy and the double standards that I see in boxing from boxing fans. I mean, no one will say that, oh, well, Usyk is calling out Canelo, he's fighting Canelo, that's an easy payday. I mean, no one will criticize Usyk, but what they'll do is Usyk would beat Canelo, maybe even stop him, and then people will say, oh, you see, Canelo was a hype job, he was a bum. There's always seems to be an agenda against Canelo all the time, but yet other fighters are able to do this sort of do this sort of rubbish, calling out or gimmicky fights, and no one says anything. I mean, Fury fighting Derek Chisora, people, don't get me wrong, have called Fury out for this, but I mean, there's also fans that are calling him the greatest of all time. But then there's Canelo Alvarez that goes and fights Bivol and gets beat by Bivol, and people say, oh, well, Canelo's not that good. Nobody talks about Canelo as one of the greatest of all time. Then look, I don't think Canelo's one of the greatest of all time in terms of top 10 or anything like that. But how the hell is, like, Canelo's resume is far superior to someone like Tyson Fury. Yet Tyson Fury, because he's going around cherry picking, fighting these easy fights and has good skills, I mean, people make him out like he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. He's better than Ali, he's better than George Foreman, he's better than Joe Frazier. But when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez, is fighting, daring to be great, fighting these guys like Dimitri Bivol, and who he got beat by him, right? And when he fights Callum Smith, when he fights Caleb Plant, these are bums apparently. But yeah, Fury's fighting Derek Chisora. Fury's fighting these guys. I mean, yeah, he fought Wilder, but even Wilder's unproven. Who the hell's he fought? I mean, and these are all greats. These are all great fighters, but Canelo Alvarez doing all these great things, going around fighting at all these top guys, fighters that are undefeated world champions. These are nobodies. I mean, but yeah, Tyson Fury is viewed as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Yeah, he's fought two guys. And one guy was a 40-year-old pensioner. Then the other guy was a guy in Deontay Wilder who was, unproven to say the least. A great fighter. I like Wilder. And I give Fury credit for beating Wilder. But at the end of the day, Wilder's still got a lot to prove himself. So the point I'm trying to make is I get really irritated. When I see these double standards towards Canelo. Like, Canelo doesn't get the credit, doesn't get the respect that he deserves from boxing fans. There's fight, and the reason why there's a certain fight fans out there that have an agenda against Canelo. Like, nobody would say anything. I guarantee if Usyk was to do that, nobody would say a word against Usyk. Nobody would say anything against Usyk. But yeah, I guarantee if Canelo was to fight Usyk and get beaten, right, which he would do, Canelo's a bum. He was always a hype job. As soon as he stepped up against real fighters, he lost. Yet no one will say, oh, look, when he lost to Bivol, everyone was saying, oh, well, the size wasn't the issue. It was just that Bivol's a better fighter. You see how the narrative spun? Yeah? You see how the narrative spun? It was just that Bivol was a better fighter. I mean, a guy that's 5 inches taller than you, a guy that has such a huge reach advantage over you. You're telling me that that's not going to have any kind of impact on the fight, but just because the guy has better skills. I mean, think this is what people say that try to put Canelo down, right? But where's this same kind of pressure on other fighters? I mean, Terence Crawford is fighting David Avanesian. No one's saying to him, "Why aren't you fighting Boots? Why aren't you fighting? What's his name, Virgil Ortiz?" But yet, Canelo has to fight killers up back to back to back to back to back to back. But yet, Terence Crawford can fight, and he's pound for pound, whatever he is, higher than Canelo at this point, fighting David Avanesian. I mean, Errol Spence is going to fight Stanionis. That might be his mandatory. But the point I'm trying to make, do you see where I'm coming from with this? I mean, why does it, when Canelo fights guys like Billy Joe, Callum Smith, Caleb Plant, who are undefeated world champions, who are good fighters, irrespective of what people say, they're good fighters. You might not think they're as good as Jamel Charlo and Andrade and this, that, and the other. But let's not forget, Billy Joe Saunders is better than Korobov, right? He's got a similar style to Korobov, right? And Jamal Charlo struggled against Korobov. Many felt he lost. So Billy Joe's an upgraded version of that. Imagine if Billy Joe fought Jamal Charlo. You honestly think that would be an easy fight? Absolutely not. So the point I'm trying to make is that, people have agendas when they're talking about certain fighters. And this is why I tried to say that Canelo, I mean, Usyk is allowed to call out Canelo. Yeah, not many people would say a lot. About Usyk cherry picking there, which is a clear cherry pick. I mean, all these other fighters, Tyson Fury can fight Derek Chisora, and he's still viewed as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time on the basis of beating two guys. But yet Canelo Alvarez has beaten so many champions. Yet, I mean, he doesn't get a lot of respect. Oh, he's a hype job. Oh, he got beat by Bivol. Yet he went above and beyond and fought Bivol, and Bivol beat him, and all of a sudden he's a hype job and he doesn't get the credit. I mean, the double standards from some fight fans is startling to me. I don't understand why I don't mind. You call Canelo out. If Canelo says he's not fighting Mexicans, I called him out. That's rubbish. But let's keep that same energy towards every fighter. Let's keep that same energy towards Crawford for fighting David Avanesian. Let's keep that same energy to Usyk for calling out Canelo, which is a cherry pick. I mean, it's a cherry pick. Calling out a guy that's super middleweight. Not even a big super middleweight by any stretch. Yeah, saying that he'll fight him at cruiserweight when Canelo just got beat by a light heavyweight. So again, it's about time we as boxing fans call things out and be fair. Canelo Alvarez constantly fights good competition. Not many fighters fight the competition that Canelo fights. Terence Crawford, his last fight was at Porter. Now he's fighting Avanesian. The fight before that was Brook. Then he fought Khan. Fight before that was Kavialauskas, Khan. All washed up old men, right? Nobody says anything about that. But yet they want to jump on Canelo, who's fighting young guys in their prime that are champions. I mean, come on. Come on. Yeah, when Canelo fought Khan, that was a cherry pick. That was a cherry pick. When Canelo fought Khan, that was a cherry pick because he made Khan come up so many weight classes. Yeah, that's what people said. Yeah, that was when Khan was good, when he was in his prime. Yeah, maybe the weight difference didn't give him any chance to win, and maybe Canelo, it was a cherry pick. But the point I'm trying to make is that Usyk is doing exactly the same thing. Everybody does that. Everybody tries to get easy paydays where they know that they can make a quick buck and it be an easy fight where they can make, it can be an easy fight and they make a huge amount of money. Who doesn't want that? Everyone wants an easy payday. So the point I'm trying to make is that Canelo is constantly, in my opinion, he's talking about fighting Bivol now. Again, I feel like it's about time that people stand up and give that guy a bit of credit. These guys, I mean, Stephen, if you're watching this, Usyk calling out Canelo, I mean, he wants that fight. I mean, his trainer's saying that he wants, I mean, come on. You know, we need to keep the same energy with all these fighters that do these things, man. But it seems like certain fighters get it more than other fighters. I mean, Canelo says he's not going to fight Mexicans. Everyone jumps on him. Usyk saying he's going to fight Canelo. No one says anything. I mean, you know, doesn't he deserve criticism for that? Because Usyk's a loved fighter, I mean, he doesn't get as much criticism. I mean, it's crazy. Fury, I mean, Fury can do what he wants, and I mean, he's still one of the greatest heavyweights. I mean, it's bizarre. Like, how is Fury one of the greatest heavyweights of all time? Please explain. I mean, his resume is weak. I mean, he hasn't got, this era is not the strongest. I mean, how the hell is the guy that one of the greatest heavyweights? I mean, it's embarrassing. You know, people, like I said, I don't know how people judge all of this. It's absolute nonsense. But in my opinion, just my opinion, I think Canelo Alvarez has given a lot to boxing. A lot more than a lot of these fighters. And we criticize him the most. We criticize the guy that's probably given more than anything, that's constantly given us good fights. You know, he might not be fighting your favorite fighter, but that doesn't mean that he's not fighting somebody that's not a good fighter. But because he's not fighting your favorite fighter, the guys that he's fighting are bums. You know, but yeah, that's just my opinion. That's just my take on it. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, guys.